Well, hello and welcome to Author Ignition, the livecast and podcast of Ignite Press. We're excited today because we have two things going on. One is a book launch and an interview with a fantastic author. And so we do these periodically in order to feature our authors and also to allow their stories to get out to the world. So today I would like to introduce you to the one, the only Sharon Wirant, and Sharon is launching her book right now, and that is Tired Yet Wired, Breaking Your Chronic Fatigue Cycle. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that right now you can get the Kindle version on Amazon for 99 cents. If you are listening to the podcast or watching a replay, I'm sorry, you might have missed that, and you're going to want to pick up the book anyway. But it's available there on paperback and Kindle. So Sharon, let's bring you on here. How are you doing today? This is an exciting day.
Yes, it is. It's so very exciting. So good to see you, Everett.
Thank you. So what's it been like so far? You've been getting some feedback from people who are out there buying your book?
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of people saying that they've bought it. They're so excited. They're starting to read it and go through it. It's also very exciting.
Fantastic. Now, by the way, if you're watching this live on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and put in the comments, hello, hi, where you're from. And then as we go on, if you've got questions for Sharon, please bring them up. I would be happy to pass them along, and I know Sharon would be happy to address them. So Sharon, tired yet wired.
Yes.
I remember when we first started talking about this, like, wait a minute, what do you mean tired yet wired? This seems like a contradiction here, and I'm sure that's the whole reason for this. Why don't you tell us, well, actually first, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to the point of bringing this message, Tired Yet Wired.
Yeah, so I'm Sharon Wirant, and at this point I am, excuse me, what I call an integrative coach, where I'm taking what I have learned to help myself heal through this journey and helping others. But I found myself on that nonstop hamster wheel, always working, always doing. And then soon I found that I was getting sick fairly on the regular. And at the same time, I was tired. I was tired from all the things that I was doing. And then that wired feeling, you kind of feel like you're buzzing, and you can't sit still. You just keep going. You're ignoring everything that your body's saying to you, and you just keep going. And for me, what ended up happening is I really got quite sick. I ended up with having Epstein-Barr virus, which we all know as mononucleosis. So I was kissing my husband, but we call it it's a teenage kissing disease, but it was reactivated in my body due to all the stress. So I was, for the last 20 some years, I worked in the animal welfare industry. So I was helping homeless animals to literally being frontline in the trenches, always going out to, remove animals from deplorable situations and then helping them heal in temporary shelters. And so, the business really is, you got to go, 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 and go. But that was my lifestyle anyway. So nothing really changed until it changed. And I ended up being not having this stress release or reactivate all these viruses that we naturally keep in our bodies to being exposed to toxic mold. So between the two things, and then also having a history of being tired after going back to my teenage years, it all, boom, hit. And then at the time, I was exploring my purpose. Am I doing the right things? And what do I want to do next? And that's how I discovered coaching. And through this learning about coaching, I ended up actually starting to heal myself. And it's been such a fascinating journey. So outside of my my work life, my personal life was just as busy. I was going to dog agility trials all over the East Coast, and national trials, regional trials. I'd come home from a long stint at work and hop into the car and go off to an agility trial with one of my dogs. And so I was always on the go, and it finally caught up with me.
Oh, all right. So I get that part where you're like, you're so tired you can't rest, right?
Correct.
And get yourself in that cycle, never-ending cycle of run, try to rest, but get really crappy rest, run, and then of course many of us fall into the trap of, okay, well, I need to use copious amounts of caffeine or other things, right, in order to maintain that cycle of run, get bad rest, run, get bad rest, that type of thing. So for you found it also in your professional life, you found it in your personal life. What do you think is like the biggest surprise that you found going through this process? I'm sorry, I didn't really prepare you for that question.
No.
What's one of the biggest surprises you encountered?
I think, because I was previously I was a massage therapist, so I understood about the body-mind connection. But I think through my whole process of healing, the biggest piece was how it really connected and how important it is for us to look at our mindset, look at where we are with our emotions, and allowing them to be, or befriending them, not being afraid of them, and asking ourselves, what do I really want, and going for it.
Okay. Now I have the benefit, of course, of having the book, and many people don't. But one of the things that you talk about those factors that impact your recovery.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you walk us through some of those factors?
Yes. So there are 4 factors that affect us. The first one is our physical body. So that can be, you might have something that's genetic, and that's okay. It's just a part of being a human or any animal species. We inherit genetic traits. It can also be any illness that you have in your body, and also how you treat your body, what you're actually feeding it, and how you are treating your body. It's also all about your environmental exposure. And this piece really hit me big with the toxic mold piece. So the environmental exposure includes your physical environment. So in my work, I went into a lot of very dirty hoarding homes. So there's a lot of feces, there's a lot of viruses and bacteria in there, a lot of really gross stuff. And even in our homes, even though I thought my home was clean, we had areas where there was dust. And then we also discovered that we had a toxic mold problem. And toxic mold is very dangerous for you. So you have to be aware of what is in your environment and have quality air. Also within your environmental.
Before you leave that one, I have some questions about that.
All right.
Should we only worry about toxic mold when we see a bunch of black stuff on the wall?
Oh, yes.
No, I mean, is it only like,
not only
does it have to visually be to that extent for us to have a problem in our homes, or can it be much more subtle than that?
No, it can be very, very, very subtle. You can have something behind your wall. So let's say you have pipes from the bathroom in your wall going downstairs, and you had a pipe leak, and nothing happened to the outer edges of the wall, but on the inside, with that moisture, and then with heat, mold loves heat, darkness, and no airflow. And so it can grow in between the walls. And what happens is if it's disturbed, or as it's growing, it releases what's called a gas, mycotoxins. We tend to want to call them spores, but mycotoxins is just that. It's a toxin as a defense mechanism for mold. And that is what's coming out, and it's what's harming us, not necessarily the spores. The spores can too, just like there's There are molds in the air that are natural, and they have spores that are more irritant. That's when we say we have a mold allergy. So a mold allergy versus a toxic mold problem are two very, very different things.
Wow. Okay. And you talk in your book about thinking and about the effect of your thinking habits.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about how our thinking impacts our energy level in this tired yet wired world?
Yeah. So when we have a thought, that thought creates an emotion. And likewise, you might feel a sensation in your body, and then your mind creates a thought in an attempt to interpret what that sensation is. That's what the brain does. The brain is all about looking for patterns and associations. So when we have this thought that, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I am tired, you feel your body just kind of sink, and you start to feel more tired. And sometimes we can think our way out of this tiredness and say, I feel great, but yet we're ignoring what our body is saying. So we use mindset as one piece of the puzzle to help you to heal from chronic fatigue. So our thoughts create our emotions, and then our emotions create our behavior or the actions that we take. And a result of all of those is our outcome, what happens in the world. So for example, if I say that I'm really tired, I'm tired, but yet I'm ignoring, the feelings of my body. My body feels heavy. It just feels fatigued. Then actions that I take are usually nothing. We sit and watch Netflix, or we just kind of scroll through our social media feeds. And as a result, excuse me, we don't get much done and we don't heal. In reverse, let's say you do physically feel tired, you can tell yourself, yes, I am tired, and have a sense of relief. I am tired, but I know how to take care of myself. You feel relief, and then you are going to take action that supports the fatigue that you're feeling, such as maybe taking a nap or going and meditating for a little while, or maybe just sitting and reading a calm, fun book rather than a learning type of book. So you're bringing your energy level down, and you're giving your body that opportunity to have some rest.
Okay, I can see that. It's like you if you want to change your state, you have to acknowledge it first, and then so you can take those steps. So let me make sure to remind people that today the book is on Amazon, both in paperback and Kindle, and there's a launch day special where you can get the Kindle for only 99 cents. So definitely pick up your copy. Now, Chris gave us a great question, and I want to bring that up here. Let's see where it went. Here we go. I read that you worked. Actually, she's got a couple questions, and I went to the wrong one first, but I'm going to go to this one anyway since it's up. I read that you worked with animal rescue on crime scenes with actual FBI and other authorities. Can you tell us one of your favorite rescue stories?
Oh, wow. I actually have so many, all of them. They're all amazing. It's just, for me, I always see the light at the end of the tunnel for all these animals. But I think with regard to the FBI, I think my favorite story about this is that, we get up at 4 a.m. and we head over to this auditorium where this was a very big, large dog fighting raid. And it constituted a whole bunch of different sites, but it had to be all done in conjunction with different law enforcement agencies and then our different teams of the animal rescue group, because we would go in after the law enforcement went in. The SWAT team members would go in, knock down the doors, get the people out, and then you had the next wave of all the people who are going to go in and start doing the evidence. And then we came in and we dealt with the animals and documenting them and help then bringing them out of that situation. But we had this big dogfighting ring raid that we were doing. And, we get up at 4, we're at this auditorium at 5 in the morning, and we're just sitting there waiting for everything to come in. And then the SWAT men and women, they come in, and they're so impressive. What these women and men do in their careers is just, I don't know how they actually do it, but it's so impressive being next to them. And then after we had our meeting and did our coordination, we all go to the different sites that we were going. And then they boom down the doors at 6 in the morning. And then we go in and, we see all these animals and we start doing our work. But that's one of my favorite stories. And then another one is, again, I did a lot of these fighting ring raids. And this is with one of my coworkers. And I'm going to go into my woo side because I think this is really fascinating, because we were in this yard and we were starting to pull animals off, and we were putting them in the kennels in the truck. And I stepped out of the truck. There's no one around. And all of a sudden I just went, something's not right. And I turned around and I walked back, and we had 2 of them fighting in between the boards. You had metal walls, but there was a gap. And believe it or not, the gap this big, they were able to get at each other. So I stepped out and I called for the lead, Kyle, and all of a sudden I just saw him go alert. And my voice is soft because I wasn't sure he could actually hear me with all the other barking. And he just came, and then we were able to get the dogs apart and safely apart. But yeah, I have so many wonderful stories. I have these,
Wow.
There's another time, this was about 600 animals in North Carolina. And it was, there were horses, there were pigs, there were cats, and there were dogs, and just so many puppies. And it's just so amazing to go and help these guys out.
I've got to think at times and I guess to the topic of the book, it's overwhelming, right? Because you're coming in on these scenes, and these animals have to be taken care of, and it's not like you can just ignore them. They have to be taken care of in a timely fashion. You're trying to find the proper destinations for them, arrange proper care. And I'm sure they're not in the best of health or best of mental health for that matter. But really incredible. There was a couple comments I want to share. Also a question. So Chris asked this question here. I love your point about adrenaline. She says, how do you think social media and other media plays a part in adrenaline rushes?
Yeah, that goes with mindset, because we see like an ad or something and we get all excited about it. Or we could be looking at, let's say with animal cruelty, a lot of people put up, pictures and stories in their attempts to try and find this animal safety. That just looking at the image, and then whatever thought that you're thinking about that animal actually brings up adrenaline. Because if you're feeling unsafe for the animal, or you think, oh my gosh, that animal needs help, they need help right now. The same thing can be with a person. Or even, have you ever noticed, like if you're watching sports? So I was just watching the Olympic team selections for gymnastics, which I absolutely love gymnastics. And I'm watching Simone Biles do her routine on the balance beam, and then she fell off. And you could see you're so excited for her, and then you see her fall off, and you go, oh, yeah. What you're thinking and what you're feeling, it goes hand in hand, and obviously the visual impact of that.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Certainly, watching football games, and we're watching a team, and they're just doing horribly and getting so frustrated, and found myself in such a mood
Yes.
Well, for crying out loud, I'm just watching a game. What's the big deal? But I find myself being grouchy around my family, and it's like, oh yeah, I need to turn that off.
Yeah.
So Janny, if I'm pronouncing that name right, says, I got my copy too. I was diagnosed with CFS in December of 1999. I remember my exact day of the onset of the suffocating fatigue that month. Seeking for healing and answers over the past 20 years has affirmed what you teach. Thank you so much for writing this book, Sharon.
Thank you, Janny. Thank you very much.
And we have another comment here from Grace. Wow, this book is right up my alley. Sounds heartbreaking, bittersweet, triumphant, and a beautiful testament of human spirit. By the way, love your sweet pup helping you out on this interview. For anyone listening to the podcast, Sharon's puppy, not puppy, but the mother of a new litter of puppies, I believe, has been sitting in the background cheering her on.
Well, actually, that is Zesty. I have six dogs and then four 4-week-old puppies. So Zesty, well, she was in the background. She's moved off to the cooler floor, but she is 12 and a half, and she's my national champion in dog agility in the biathlon.
Wow.
The biathlon division.
Is she border collie?
She is border collie.
Yeah. Okay. And you're right. I apologize, because the other one that just had pups is the Papillon, right?
The Papillon, yeah. And she was bred to another world team agility dog.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go to a couple more points on your book. Let me ask you this: was there some part of the book that just absolutely wrote itself? You're like, you get there and you just go, oh, this was the easiest part to write, either because it just maybe it came from personal experience or the heart or something. I mean, usually in the writing process, there's some section that some are hard and some are easy.
Well, for me, it was interesting, because when I wrote the second section, where I get a little bit into the science, I was trying not to bring my academic side in. That was actually my more challenging section. But then when I started writing about the behavior habits, where I let my creativity come out, and to write about different behavior habits that we all have. So like the chameleon, blending in, trying to belong, the achiever, being the perfectionist, or the helper. We all have aspects of that to ourselves. It's just how imbalanced we are within those. But I would say where it really became easy was actually through a therapeutic coaching session with my therapeutic coach, Georgina. And we were actually coaching around me writing this book, and the things that I was worried about, the criticism, it not being written well enough, all of those things that I went through when I was, in college, and then even when I was out of college and writing articles and whatnot. And so we were doing what's called EFT, which is just tapping on points, acupuncture points. And all of a sudden I could, I'm feeling this restriction in my chest, and especially my throat. So the constriction in the throat is more like you have something to say, but you're afraid to say what you want to say. So doing that EFT process, all of a sudden that popped out. And it's like I released whatever that was. And then my writing simply flowed, especially like the last half of the book, where I was talking about, where I talk about all these different modalities and things to try. That really flowed. And then the idea of tending to yourself as a garden, where you're just nourishing and creating a nourishing and thriving environment for you to thrive and live the life that you want on your own terms. That's when that came. So
Wow.
It's interesting to see how with each area, as I was writing, what was going on when I had this breakthrough. And in fact, after that breakthrough, I went back and I totally rewrote my journey, and I highly edited the second part.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up this this phase, and everyone gets to it with their book. It's this, okay, I've been writing this book, but is it really good enough? Is it going to, I don't want to embarrass myself. Is it going to have impact? Who am I to be, holding myself out as an expert, or sharing this and that type of thing. So it's very interesting that you bring that up, and the technique that you use to kind of get past it is very different. In fact, I think I need to make sure you and some of my favorite book coaches have some conversations, and you can probably help them help their clients to get past some of that. Yeah. And one thing that we see often is that whole "who am I" bit. That who am I to share this? And I like to tell people this because I think it's critical. That, like, Sharon, you are unique, right? You're unique in the set in the combination of your personality, the set of your experiences, the set of your outcome, the way you communicate. All of these things are this unique recipe, this unique combination. And there is someone out in the world who maybe they could hear the information you might share from someone else or through some other media or something like that, but won't. Or it won't connect with them because they are tuned to your voice. Yes. Just like, you talk about the baby penguins, in the Antarctic, or a lamb, right? A lamb that, and a mother lamb, that they hear each other's voice across all of that racket. And there's someone out there that is only going to hear this message from you and with your unique combination of experiences and skills. And I just want that to sink in with every would-be author, that there are people there, even if you're not the first to bring a topic. Like, okay, this has been said before. Yes, but has it been said by you and in your way? And nothing's true. Everything is going to be unique anyway. But I think I'm glad you brought that up. Hey, I want to share some congratulations from people in case you didn't have a chance to see it. So Stephanie Martin Taylor says, "Yay, Sharon! Congratulations." Ethel MacArthur also, "Ho, Sharon! Congratulations." Let's see here. Malia, "Hey, congratulations, Sharon! Got my copy."
Yay!
Marianne Hill, "Hi, Sharon! I'm so excited for you." Chris Simmons, "Loving the book so far." And then there's others, but I just want to make sure that you got to see those for sure. Is there one lesson or one thing that you want to make sure people are left with listening to our discussion here before we sign off?
There's hope and possibility. I mean, really, the bottom line is that there is hope and there is possibility to heal yourself or have significant remissions. And it's about taking care of yourself, and you have permission to take care of you. I know a lot of people think that that's being selfish, but you can't help others until you take care of you. So it is that, put the oxygen mask on yourself first concept. Because when you're taking care of what your own needs are, you're actually better able to help others. That's a really big lesson.
I think you described it in your book, and I really like that, as taking care of the garden of you.
Yeah.
I thought that was a powerful phrase. You also talk about cultivating your soul through self-advocacy. Yeah. Can you share? Can we wrap up with that? Perhaps can you share that as a closing thought?
So self-advocacy is supporting yourself, being your friend, giving yourself what you need. It's dipping your toes into the self-love concept, with which I know people feel a little resistant to. And all self-love is about is liking yourself, liking your quirks, liking all your differences, and then gradually moving into really loving them. And it's not a selfish thing at all. It's a way that you're acknowledging to your inner world that I see you. I see me, I see you. And in giving yourself what you need by creating boundaries that support you. We have a tendency to think boundaries are about keeping others out. I mean, in a sense, yeah, it's kind of that way, but it's more about protecting you than anyone else. So a good example for creating boundaries is, especially for those people who are obligers, you people please, you say yes before you even think about it. And then you resent and regret that you had said yes. So when you get a request, the boundary that you have is that you tell the other person, I need to check my calendar. I'll get back to you at a certain time. And you can state that. Or I need to check with my husband, whatever. Or I need to take a look at things. I'll get back to you at a certain time. And then sit back and really think about it and ask yourself, do I really want to do this thing? And if it's no, you can say, I've got other things going that day. I don't have the bandwidth. Thank you for asking, but not this time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big piece with self-advocacy. We have to support ourselves in that way because no one else is going to do it.
Well, and that really is a good point. I mean, if we're not our own advocate, who will be? We have other people in our lives who may take an advocacy position, but they're usually not with us all the time, right, to advocate for us. And can they advocate for us in the same way that we can advocate for ourselves?
Yeah, and it's speaking up with what we need as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, Sharon, thank you so much for the lessons here about Tired Yet Wired. I recommend everybody pick up their copy today. Tired Yet Wired, Breaking Your Chronic Fatigue Cycle is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Sharon, it's wonderful having you here today. Congratulations on your launch. This is exciting. We'll be excited to see how the rest of the launch rolls out for you. I just want to tell you again, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Everett. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Author Ignition livecast and podcast. As always, you can reach us through ignitepress.us, ignitepress.us, if you have any questions or you have a book that you're thinking of. We're always excited to support people getting their messages out, getting them out to the world through this unique medium that is publishing. So thank you so much, and go grab Sharon's book. Take care, and God bless.